Hi, I'm Mike Kelton, and today we're going to be changing the oil and the air filter on the 2008 Dodge Charger. And this video is brought to you by STP and Dr. Pepper Zero, because that's some good stuff right there, baby. Let me tell you about it. Alright, two things you're going to need to know before you change the oil on this. Number one, the car sits way too low to the ground. You're going to need to lift it up to get to the oil filter and the plug to release the oil out of the oil pan. And number two, there's a splash guard mounted underneath the car. It ain't difficult to take out, but it is difficult to film me taking out, so I'm just going to show you what it looks like laying on the ground, and it's not hard at all to remove. But those two things you need to know, and here is the splash guard that goes underneath the car. As you can see, it's not much to it. It's got one bolt here, one bolt there, a couple bolts at the top, and it slides in at the corners, and that's it. That comes out, and as soon as you have that unbolted, you have access to the oil filter and everything you need to do to change the oil. Okay, so underneath the car there is a center bracket here, and I'm going to jack the car up on the right side of it, so that way I can get to the oil filter that's on the left side. And I'm going to jack the car up, not all the way off the wheels, but to where it gives me a lot more clearance than just sitting on the ground. But I'm not going to lift it up so much that the wheels are not touching the ground. I'm just going to take it as far as I can without the wheels leaving the ground. Alright, so that's about good right there. Alright, I'm going to show y'all where the oil filter is on this thing. It's right there. It's really close to the front of the car. And where is the drain plug at? It is right there. So there's the oil filter drain plug. Boom. Everything's pretty close to the front of the car. Alright, now I'm going to get my oil pan and drain out everything into the pan. By the way, the oil plug is a 13 millimeter. So once you got your bolt loose for your oil pan, you just undo it with your hand and let it go into your oil container. Just like that. Now you're going to get some on your hand, so be prepared. So while we're waiting for the oil to drip out, we're going to go ahead and replace our air filter, which I kind of already took it apart a little bit. So it's just this hose, which really don't need to be taken off, but I just did it for ease anyway. This hose, that comes off, and then you got two clips in the front here that will let it loose completely. And then you take the old air filter out. Now this one ain't that bad. I probably shouldn't have replaced it, but I went ahead and got a new one anyway. And then put a new one in, and it goes in just like that. And the cover fits on. See these tabs in the back? They just slide in just like that. And then the tabs will lock down once you got it in place. It's kind of fighting me a little bit. Wow, this is fighting me. Wow, what's it hung up on? Was that in there? Wow. Okay. And that goes on there. And then you wrestle this bad boy back on there. And then take a 5/16, tighten up that hose clamp, and just get it nice and snug, and that's it. Not very tight at all. And that's it for the air filter. Okay, now it's time to remove the oil filter. This one, luckily for me, was hand tight. Like, I didn't even need to put a wrench to it. So that's the way you want to put it in also. But just in case, they have these little wrenches or little cups that fit it on your oil filter that can take them off. But you never want to use these to put them on. When you tighten up your oil filter, you only want to do it hand tight. And when you loosen it up, it's going to drip oil just like that. So you want to make sure to have something underneath to catch all that oil. And then you're going to want to gently set this thing down in the oil pan or oil catcher after you get it loose. You don't want it to splash like I almost just let it did. Alright, so all the oil's out. Time to put the new filter in and then plug back in. So here is the old oil filter I just took out, and here's the new one AutoZone just gave me. Actually, they gave me two of them, but they weren't sure which one it was, and I'm pretty sure it's this one. But look at the size comparison. Like, one's way thinner than the other. So if you need to go, if you go to AutoZone for 2008 Dodge Charger 2.7 liter, it's going to be the S2 filter, or yeah, there's the oil filters it replaces. But yeah, it's going to be the S2 oil filter. So one trick you can do is dip your finger in a little bit of oil and rub it on the top of this gasket here. And that way when you tighten it, you just have to finger tighten it, and that is all you need to tighten it. Alright, so you just screw in the filter there, and you just barely get it hand tight, and that's it. That's all you tighten it right there. And you're tightening the oil plug, you don't have to be tight at all. Like right there is snug. And then I'm just going to put a good one-time tug on it, and that's good. Alright, once you got all the oil out, you got the oil plug in, you got the oil filter in. Before you put the oil back in the car, I recommend removing the jack. Okay, so we got our funnel, we got our oil. Now, if you Google this car on the internet, it'll tell you it takes 7 quarts of 5-weight 20. AutoZone tells you it takes 6 quarts of 5-weight 20. And a little side story here is, I was going to go with all synthetic with the new synthetic oil filter, but the lady at AutoZone talked me out of it, and she said the viscosity is different, and the synthetic stuff is more thinner than the regular conventional motor oil, And being that it's more thinner, it might have additional leaks or make additional leaks in the engine because it's more thinner. Now, I don't know. It kind of made sense and it kind of didn't. To me, 5-way 20 means 5-way 20. It should have the same viscosity as the synthetic stuff. But this time around, I'm going with regular conventional motor oil stuff. And so what I'm going to do is, this is a 5-quart container here, and at AutoZone they said it takes 6, so I'm just going to go with 5 and let it settle for a while, and then see how much of that 6th quart over there that we're going to need. So I'm going to add this container, and we'll go from there. Alright, so here's what we're going to do with the old oil. Is we're going to take this old oil, dump it into the old containers, take it back to the auto parts place. They should have a container where you dump the oil into, and that's it. That's how you dispose of the old oil. So that's how it looks. Keep in mind when you're doing this, you may overflow the container down here if you're not careful. I can see straight down in there how far I am to the top. So I'm just being very, very careful, trying not to spill this all over the place. Well, I guess AutoZone was right, because this is a 5-quart container and it's filled all the way up to the brim. And we know that this car was 1 quart low before we changed the oil, so most likely it's a 6-quart engine. And this is something optional that I prefer to do after an oil change. Before you full-blown start your engine, go ahead and prime your engine with the new oil. And how you do that is you press the accelerator all the way down, or some people call it the gas pedal. Turn your car over like normal, like you're going to start it. And what that does, it cuts off the fuel pump, and it just turns over your engine and basically gets the oil back in all the right places. But like I said, that's an additional option that you can do. And that's it for today. Thank you very much.